Happy 4th of July, my non-existent viewers. Is TVB, and this is the 4th of July Skizzo Rambling. Let's get into it. So, I did a Would You Rather Wednesday poll last week asking if you guys won the July Skizzo Rambling, because I usually do these videos on the first day of each month, or as close to the first day as I possibly can. But this year, because since my zoo job is ending pretty soon, my last day at the zoo is going to be this coming Monday, the 7th, right? This past week, because I'm at the zoo Sunday through Thursday, this was my last full week that just ended yesterday, and my manager gave me the option, have my last day be yesterday, July 3rd, or, July 7th, which was, the day before my official, 10 months is up. That's how long seasonals are allowed to work at the zoo for, is, 10 months, right? So, yeah, and I know it's going to be a weird last paycheck, but I chose to end my time at the zoo on the 7th, so yeah. And I made a Would You Rather Wednesday poll asking if you guys wanted me to do the Skizzo Rambling either, on 4th of July or July 8th, which I made a mistake in that poll. I should have said July 7th, because that's my last day at the zoo, and you guys voted for a July 4th Skizzo Rambling, so yeah, this is a Happy Independence Day to my fellow Americans. Or if you obviously I've always loved all cultures. I'm really glad to know that I have fans from different countries, or subscribers from different countries, because I remember I'm gonna be sipping my drink this video. I remember way back my freshman year at CSU when I saw and reviewed Coco, the Pixar movie, right? I got a lot of really nice comments from Mexican viewers, the subscribers I didn't know that I had from Mexico, and I got a lot of likes and views. And then 4 years later, my last semester at CSU when Encanto was released, and I saw and reviewed that Thanksgiving break, I got a lot of nice comments from Colombian viewers. Yeah, I've always had a strong fascination with various cultures, because it's my ancestry being from Lithuania. Today is what would have been my grandfather's 108th birthday today. My grandfather, he and my grandmother moved from Lithuania to America after World War II. So my mom, my uncle, and Denver are first generation Americans, right? Yeah, I grew up speaking two languages, Lithuanian and English, right? And it's I miss him very much. I hope he's having a good... I hope he and my grandmother and my Uncle Ricky and my other grandparents are having a good 4th of July right now in the afterlife. In God's kingdom, or I hope they're, joy to be in their presence and everything. Yeah, but there's just a lot that's been going on lately, with this coming Monday being my last day at the zoo. I wanted to... This Skizzo Rambling, I mostly wanted to focus on just, channel updates and what my plans are going to look like for the rest of the summer, because my plans for the rest of the year in general are pretty up in the air, because this past 2 weeks ago, or more 3 weeks ago at this point, I had my exit interview with my supervisor and our assistant curator at the Congo department. For the past 10 months, this is, again, the end is coming up pretty soon. I've been in the gorilla section with the gorillas and the orangutans and the bonobos and I know orangutans aren't from Africa, but they're still great apes, and their exhibit's right across the way from the Congo department, so we look after them too. And we also got the leopards, the okapis, the mandrills, and the colobus monkeys. And I have some pretty big news for you guys. I will not be returning to the Congo department this September. During my exit interview, my supervisor said, make a long story short, we had a whole hour-long thing. It's just after everything that's happened, with me working for them the past 10 months, my strengths, my weaknesses, they just think I would have a lot more room to grow in another department at the zoo, one of the other sections. There's 8 animal sections at the zoo. There's my current section, the Congo department, and the Australia and the islands section where the orangutans are at. They're right next to each other, right? We have Bornean orangutans at the zoo, and, Borneo's an island in Southeast Asia, so a big part of that section, makes sense. And there's the shores in the aquarium section, and there's the Adventure Cove and like the Animal Encounters Village with the sea lions and the seals and the Stingray Bay and a lot of smaller animals, just like random ones from like around the world. And there's Asia Quest, where there's the elephants and the tigers. That's the other thing. The reptile house is part of the shores and aquarium section too, with the manatees and the Discovery Reef and the penguins and the flamingos. And they just reopened the North America section, right? That's where they have the goat barn and like the mountain lions and the bears and the moose and the river otters and the Mexican wolves. The Mexican wolves are actually their exhibit was part of Asia Quest for a while, right next to Mara the tiger's enclosure, who passed away back in April. May she rest in peace. Yeah, so I'm very curious what the zoo's gonna do now that Mara's aged out and that the wolves are back in their new exhibit over in the North America section. I'm very curious to see what the zoo's going to do with that exhibit next. But yeah, North America, then it leads into the polar frontier where the Alaskan brown bears and the polar bears are at. Yeah, we don't have grizzly bears like most other zoos in America do. We have two Alaskan brown bears named Buckeye and Brutus, named after the OSU mascots. And last but not least, there's Heart of Africa, where there's like the watering hole, the cheetahs and the hyenas, and there's the lions and the giraffes and all that good stuff. So yeah, I reapplied for the waitlist. We'll see who's looking for seasonals this fall, because this was kind of my plan all along. When I first moved here to Columbus back in September, I knew that this wouldn't last forever. Me being a seasonal in the Congo department, and when I got my second job, my side hustle at the gym, working the front desk at LA Fitness, I knew that this lifestyle I currently have, living at my roommate Daniel's house, and juggling the seasonal position at the Congo department with the gym, the second job at the gym, I knew this wouldn't last forever, and I was not gonna lie, I have been really nervous about the possibility of not coming back to the zoo at all this year. But I think in the grand scheme of things, this is all gonna be a blessing in disguise. The fact that it's July already, right? We're halfway through the year. 6 months down, 6 more to go. Let's go, baby. Something I've noticed about my life for the past, 4 years at this point, ever since my fall semester of 2021, which was the semester I graduated from CSU that December, the second half of each year for me, so, the last 6 months of the year, July through December, have been, progressively better. I look back more fondly on the second half of each year than the first half, typically speaking, because fall semester of 2021, that was my favorite semester at CSU. Not only did I graduate from college that December, I also, I had I was juggling my last semester of classes and my summer class too that July with at the time it was my new job at Dogtopia. I just got hired at that. I was just hired at that place right after my spring semester ended. So yeah, that was I was really in the whole grind of going through college while juggling with a job, and it's hey, I made wonderful new friends that year too, and my friendship with them was blossoming more that fall semester. And my friend Casey and you guys may or may not have seen him in my first 2 Venom movie reviews. We saw a Green Day in concert with a Weezer and Fall Out Boy that August, which, oh my gosh, I think out of all the concerts I've been to in my life, I think that one might have been my favorite. Perhaps, and, COVID regulations were, lockdown was somewhat over. We still wear masks on campus, and we still had online exams, and we still, not everything was completely back to normal, but, we still had it was still really great with the vaccines rolled out and everything, that we could do more stuff like that. And, I really liked all my classes that semester. But yeah, I graduated December, and I gotta say, 2022 was I left Fort Collins that July. I was finally just moving on my life and putting my degree to use at the zoo internships, the Cheyenne Mountain Zoo and the Riverside Discovery Center that fall. The first half of that year was pretty good too. I just worked at the Dogtopia as much as I could, and I was looking at internships, got the internship, and spent the rest of my time in Fort Collins getting ready for the next big adventure, so to speak. And I was just enjoying life. Finally done with college. That was my first full year of being done with the student lifestyle. And then 2023 was the first half of that year, I left Nebraska, and then I took a 2-month break from making YouTube videos, as most of you definitely know. Like, after losing an internship I was supposed to have after my Nebraska internship ended. Yeah, it's like, and I do look back fondly at my YouTube hiatus. I stayed busy. Like, I was door dashing. I worked at a pet resort briefly. But I left Colorado, the state that was like my home for almost 6 years, like 5.5 years, more or less, yeah, which has always been a second home to me. I remember when I started my internship at the Utica Zoo in upstate New York 2 years ago, I had a really bad case of the pre-first day jitters. Like, I was just really sad and anxious. I think it's because I was feeling so empty from leaving Colorado. Because if I had gotten a zoo job at the Denver Zoo or the Downtown Aquarium or the Cheyenne Mountain Zoo, because I was interviewed for a keeper assistant position at that zoo, which is basically the equivalent of seasonals here at the Columbus Zoo, right? But they chose another candidate. Yeah, I wouldn't have left Colorado if I could like further my zoo career at that place, but lo and behold, I couldn't. But hey, I could in upstate New York, and then I could in Ohio, so the rest is history. Like. And so I had a great... The Utica Zoo internship was a lot of fun. It was it was very productive, and like I broke my YouTube hiatus, and I moved back into my dad's house in New Jersey. That was like my first time seeing my dad in 2 years was the same day I saw Avenged Sevenfold in concert with Falling in Reverse that June. That was a great... Oh my gosh, that was such a great show. But yeah, I spent the rest of the year just like living, after the Utica Zoo internship ended, just living at my dad's house and reconnecting with him, my sister, and my old friends from middle school and high school. And yeah, like 2024 was like, for the first half of last year, like I had no idea I'd been in Columbus of all places. It was around this time a year ago I had the interview for my current position at the Columbus Zoo, and yeah, and then I remember just a few weeks later when I got the email being accepted for the job, I was just so excited. I was like, finally, this could be my big break. So yeah, with all that being said, again, I can't, like, I'm not guaranteed that I'll be back at the zoo this September. Like, I reapplied for the wait lists, both for the animal care departments and the maintenance department, and we'll see what other, like, random jobs pop up there. Or I shouldn't say random, like, you'd be surprised by, like, how many zookeepers get their foot in the door in the zoo career, like, in the zoo field, by just being a cashier at the gift shop, or working at the food court, or being in guest services, or maintenance, or just, like, other, like, non-animal departments at the zoo. They start there and just work their way up from there. Yeah, that's the case with a lot of people. And, like, even then, there's I took my girlfriend to COSI. It's a science museum here in Columbus back in April. They have some live animals there. They have rat basketball, which we watched that. It was so cute. And they have, they got dinosaur skeletons. They got a lot of really cool stuff there, actually. It's like Liberty Science Center of Ohio. Yeah, and there's dog daycares. There's even a petting zoo that's, like, kind of north of Columbus. There's a lot to do in this neighborhood, so it's like, hey, again, I don't know what the rest of the year is going to look like right now, and I am pretty sad to be saying goodbye to the zoo, or to the Congo department at least. It's like, it's not goodbye this time. It's not like I have to leave again. It's not like I have to move out again. It's more so just like hey, this is the season finale, so to speak, and the next episode is coming soon. That's all. Like, I'm still in a way better place now, overall speaking, than where I was a year ago. Yeah, I gotta say, the past 10 months I've been here in Ohio, I've been probably the most liberated I've ever been, which is crazy to say. And that was the thing back in January, like, my New Year's resolution was like, I promised myself that I would not move at all this year, and I was gonna make life work here in Columbus for as long as I could. And yeah, like, we'll see where things go, I guess. And it's and here's the other thing, right? Here's a little not so secret about being a seasonal at the Columbus Zoo, is that, like, it's very difficult for seasonal employees like myself to move up to full-time positions. What a lot of the current, like, zookeepers at here in Columbus have done is that, like, they'll get a seasonal job here in Columbus, right? And then get their next zoo job at another zoo, like at the Cleveland Zoo or the Cincinnati Zoo or the Toledo Zoo, or like or somewhere out of the state, right? whether it's a seasonal position or a full-time position, and then they get their full-time job at the Columbus Zoo and move back for it. So maybe, keyword maybe, no guarantees, that'll end up being the case for me. We'll see how things play out, I guess. But yeah, after just being here for the past, 10 months has just been very, it's been very refreshing. That's, even if this, I've said it before in other Skizzo ramblings, and I'll say it again, even if I don't end up living in Columbus for the rest of my life, at least I can say, hey, I've always wanted a place that I could just, where I could just make my stand. I would rather spend the rest of my life in Colorado than New Jersey. But, I there's something about, the possibility of living in either state for the rest of my life. It was I'm sure that would have been fine, but I have to, find my own place. Like how my sister lives in Connecticut now with her now fiance. I gotta find my own state that I can call my own. And I think Ohio is, where I'm meant to be. In a weird sense. Meant to be for now, at least. I mean, I feel like it's not right to be overly fixated on, plans. I mean, this is something else I've talked about in other videos. Let me just sip my beverage really fast. Glub, 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 glub. Ah, that was good. But yeah, I think it's best to just it is important to learn from the past, right? It's more important to plan for the future, but it's most important to enjoy the present. Because the future is going to be full of highs and lows. Because I thought I was, A-okay to come back to the Congo department this year after my 2-month layoff period ends this September. I thought that was going to be the case, this past, the past few months, throughout January, February, March, April, May. But, it's hey, I've always had this mantra of just, expect the unexpected. But, again, the past few years, with, leaving, graduating college and moving all around for all these internships and dog daycare jobs, just embrace the beauty of the unexpected. The future is gonna be full of highs and lows. The highs will be due to your good choices or just random good things coming your way, and the lows will be whether they're due to your own bad choices and your mistakes, or, again, just stuff, shit happens, life happens, things happen beyond your control. Whatever the case may be, it's tomorrow is a mystery. The thing you have most control over at the end of the day is what you're doing today. So today it's okay, I slept in, I took a super long walk, I wore my special 4th of July shirt of Abraham Lincoln riding a great white shark holding the American flag. But it's a really hot day and I got so sweaty and I just wanted to get out of the house and just get some fresh air. I got so sweaty that I had to take it off, not wearing my Beach Boys shirt. So then, I walked to the store and I was on the phone with my girlfriend, and then I took a little bit of a snooze. Well, actually, I took a little bit of a snooze before calling my girlfriend, and yeah, here I am now making this video for you guys. And Independence Day, it's an interesting holiday to me because I've never really been the super duper patriotic type. Like I said, I love different cultures, I love history, and I am proud to be an American. I love this country very much, but I feel like as a nation, we are just way too obsessed with patriotism. Our type of the way Americans act, the way we see being patriotic is just so weird compared to other countries. Like I said, I love this country to death. But do we have to, wave flags all over the place? Do we have to sing the national anthem at every single, sport game? Or do we have to have the Pledge of Allegiance, in schools? We already have a national anthem. Why do we need a Pledge of Allegiance? I don't know. I stopped... I would stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, but I would never recite it. I stopped reciting it, in sophomore year of high school because I just realized that it was just, creepy in a weird sense. I don't know, it was, kind of shoved in our faces at an early age. And we're basically just taught to parrot things. That's a thing. It's I know, I don't usually talk about politics on my channel, but whenever I do, I encourage you, I give you full discretion to take whatever I say with a grain of salt. because I do not claim to be a political expert. I'm not some political scholar, right? Like, there's so much that I have to learn. It's just there's so much stuff out there that just really confuses me. And it's not that I don't care, that I'm not interested. Sometimes I just really don't know what side to take, because I get really confused as like who I am supposed to listen to and who's just blabbering nonsense. Like, that's why I encourage everyone to just like avoid echo chambers and just be open to hearing from everybody, even if those people have views that like you strongly disagree with. Because that's the thing. Like, I was on the phone with my dad earlier today, actually, and I was telling him that America is just like way too obsessed with, like, we're called the United States, quote unquote, right? And yet I think society is just so divided, like, more than ever. It always has been, always will be, but lately it's just been ridiculous. Like, everyone's just so divided, whether, you know, everyone's so fixated on, like, you know, what's different amongst us, like whether it's politics or religion or race or gender or like or whatever else, but people don't highlight enough what we have in common more. Like, we really should. I do believe there is a lot more that unites us than divides us. And it's just like, I've been very upset with like the whole Trump sending rockets over to Iran, for example. Like, that's just like, you know, I don't even want to look at the news. It just makes me too angry. But then again, I've also have had a lot of really not so great experiences, like trying to have conversations with liberals or leftists that just like get pissed and start blowing up my face because I said that one view they disagree with. I don't know, it's just like, I think it's kind of ironic how people tend to criticize like Christians for being parrot-like. You know, they criticize religious people for just blindly following what they hear at church, when literally they're doing the exact same thing by just like blindly following what they hear from their college professors, or just what's told from them on campus by other, like, you know, Zoomers and people that are like, you know, in their late teens, early 20s. Like, you know, colleges can be like, you know, because people are still impressionable, like in their late teens, early 20s. That's the thing. My mom would always tell me growing up that, like, when I was a kid, I would notice that kids used to bully me in, like, elementary school became nice to me, like, at the end of elementary school or in, like, middle school or high school. My mom would just be like, oh, everyone's allowed to change. Everyone's allowed to grow up. I think that logic applies to college students and people in their, like, early to mid-20s just as much as it applies to children and teenagers. Like, you know, because I feel like, I just think about the crazy, like, cringy feminists and SJWs you see in these, like, cringe compilations, which are honestly, I think, are made with the purpose to just radicalize people, because, like, these cringe compilations that, like, the anti-feminist and anti-SJW crowds will find, like, they'll scour the news and the internet looking for, like, the worst examples of people from these movements. Like, they'll be like, hey, this feminist, like, oh, look at this feminist right here. She wants, like, all men to have bleach dumped on their crotches and public transit for manspreading. And it's like, yeah, that's feminism right there. That's what all feminists believe. It's like, no, that's not what they all believe. That's like saying every conservative is just some, like, crazy, like, white supremacist redneck who just hates women and all minorities and has, like, a whole stash of AR-15s. Like, no, that's a stereotyping. Like, yes, people like that exist, but I think the people who really should be the ones to tackle those types of people should be the other members of their party. Like, hey, if you're a conservative, for example, I gotta step this. Yeah. Alright, so people who, like, you know, these super, like, far right-wing conservative crackpots who are, like, racist and sexist and homophobic and, you know, or Islamophobic or anti-Semitic or, you know, insert any other phobe or ist or that, and those are not words I use lightly. They're really not. Like, if there are people on the right who are just super hateful like that, the people who should take them on should be the other conservatives. Be like, hey, this is not what we stand for. Because I know that there's, like, right-wingers of all stripes. You know, people, like, there's people of literally all, I did not, like I said, I'm very displeased with him being president. Again, I did not vote for Trump, but, like, there are Trump supporters of literally all identities you can think of. like all races, genders, you name it, you could think of. Just like there's people of all identities you can think of who voted for Kamala Harris. That's just how it works. That just is what it is, right? Should be like, so the people like I said earlier, people who should take on the super racist, sexist, asshole Republicans should be the other Republicans who know better that stuff like that isn't right. Just like how the people who should take on the crazy, like, man-hating feminists who are just total misogynists and spew out all this, like, anti-male propaganda should be the other feminists. Again, it's like the red pillars, like the Andrew Tate, like, kooks of the world, right? And the crazy third-wave feminists, it's like the horseshoe theory. It's like, whether you go too far to the left or too far to the right, they both fall off the edges and meet at the bottom. So I just encourage everyone to just, like, you know, question everything. Obviously, you choose your own battles. I can't force you to think a certain thing. I can encourage you to think a certain way. But, like, at the end of the day, like, I can lead a horse to water, but I can't make it drink. It's up to you whether to decide whether what I say makes sense, or if I'm just some blabbering idiot that you're watching on YouTube right now while you're driving or cleaning or whatever else. That's the thing. These skizzo ramblings are like the closest thing I have to like a podcast series, I feel like, where I just, you know, kick back, relax, have a drink, and talking to a Minecraft and talking to a microphone over some Minecraft gameplay, how life is going. But I touched base on this in my last skizzo rambling that I did for June, and I want to say it again here. If you guys have a particular story that you want me to share in these videos, like if you have a funny story from your life that you want me to, that you feel like sharing with me in the comments section down below, feel free to do so, and I'll talk about it in the next video. If there's a certain subject you want me to discuss, if there's something be like, hey, what's your opinions on, just thinking the first thing that comes to my mind right now, like, what are your opinions on, you know, theme parks, for example? Like, if you want me to talk about theme parks I've been to, you know, I'm glad to do that. Like, if you want me to talk about theme parks more in this video, if there's a certain, like, movie that's, like, hitting its anniversary on a particular day, it's like, hey, for your, like, what's a movie that's coming out in September? Or a movie that's had its anniversary in September. Or maybe, obviously, June is coming and gone, but for June of 2026, again, just thinking ahead, if someone's like, hey, can you, like, talk about Jurassic Park for its 33rd anniversary this coming, you know, June 2026, like, I would gladly do that. And yeah, like, you know, because I had Daily Rex as my guest for my May skizzo rambling, and we both got a lot of stuff off our chests in that video, which that was a lot of fun to make. And yeah, I guess my plans for the rest of the summer, so like, again, we'll see if what zoo departments need seasonals to help step in for the fall. And if not, like, I think if, again, God forbid I can't come back to the zoo at all this year, which I'm sure there's going to be something that'll come my way. Maybe not in September, maybe in October or November, or like sometime later down the road. But again, it's not goodbye to the Columbus Zoo. It's just TTFN, ta-ta for now, this coming week. It's going to be emotional. I am planning a special present for, like, the keepers and the interns, and of course my fellow seasonals. So I need to get to work on that. I think you guys will see it on my Instagram page. I'm also going to make my, I'm going to do a series of drawings. Since tomorrow, July 5th, is going to be, the final performance of Ozzy Osbourne of Black Sabbath in Birmingham, the UK. And a lot of other metal bands I love and respect are going to be there. Like, Lamb of God is going to be there, Metallica, Slayer, Anthrax, Gojira, Mastodon, oh my gosh, Pantera's gonna be there, Hailstorm, Guns N' Roses. Like, I'm just gonna, like, draw pictures of lead singers of those respective bands, like Pet Prehistoric Animals. I'm gonna read and write. I'm gonna do more book reviews this summer. I'm gonna, like, get back to work on my novel I started writing. I'm gonna, you know, draw a lot more pictures, because I've been really slacking on the Instagram drawings this year that I usually have been, and I'm sorry. Yeah, and I'm gonna work at the gym as much as I can. I'm gonna do a Turtle Tuesday, another Turtle Tuesday live stream. That's why I didn't make this video on the 1st of this year, because July 1st was on a Tuesday this year when I've been doing Turtle Tuesdays. I really wanted to see Leo, the new Pixar movie, and I'm taking my girlfriend to see Jurassic World Rebirth tomorrow. So I expect my review for that to go up, and probably a spoiler talk for that too. Yeah, and so this coming Tuesday, July 8th, it's going to be the day after my last day at the zoo. I'm going to do another Turtle Tuesday live stream. Just like, I'm going to go on a Season 4 marathon, because holy cow, the Season 3 finale was absolutely bonkers. I'm still not over. I had to, like, rewatch, like, the second half of that episode after I finished that live stream. I was like, holy crap, what just happened? But yeah, I'm going to pick up again when I'm not like working at my second job or like hanging out with my girlfriend or my friends, my new friends here in Columbus, or my roommates. Like, I'm gonna see what happens. Like, you know, if I do go back to a dog daycare, like if I do work at a Dogtopia again, because there are Dogtopias here in Columbus, like if I can avoid that, I will. But I wouldn't dread that by any means. You know, again, if I can't come back to the zoo or get like a museum job or someplace like that, like, you know, that's always like a decent like plan B. Again, because dog daycares, it's a good job, but it's not a career. You know what I'm saying? But it is like something I have found a really nice niche there, and I found a nice niche at the gym too. So it's like, again, it's been, my brain has gone back and forth between being really mean to me and being really nice to me lately. Because sometimes I do feel like that, since with how brutally competitive the zoo field is, sometimes it gets really discouraging and like my self-esteem kind of just plummets. But it's like, hey, this is not a loss. Like, look at everything I've gained since I've moved here. And I'm going to keep that momentum up one way or another. But yeah, I didn't want this skizzo rambling go on as long as the last one did, because I included all those clips from Sonic Temple. And yeah, I was going to end it here. I'm pretty sure the August skizzo rambling, it might be on August 1st. We'll cross the bridge when we get there, I guess. But yeah, you guys, thank you so much for watching this skizzo rambling for July this year, and I hope the second half of 2025 does you all better than the first half does. And yeah, have a good night, and stay beastly.